They have Hubel and Wiesel. Oh, good, I spelled it right. Very interesting experiment that they basically did here. They basically took visual stimuli. Visual stimuli. Now, where do visual stimuli go? Where did we say they go? What are the steps? So they would show basically what animals? I think they were actually showing them to monkeys in a lot of their situations. Yeah, I'm almost certain it was a monkey-based situation. They would show lines to monkeys. So what are the steps? Help me out with the steps there. Step 1, the monkey has to do what?
See the light.
Has to actually see the light. Now, can you tell if a monkey sees the light? No, you can't really tell directly. But let's talk about, so the light energy has to go into their retina. Do monkeys have a retina?
Yeah.
So what's step 2 for the monkey? Transduction happens for step 2. That would take place as well. Then what happens next?
It goes to the relay station, which is in the thalamus.
The thalamus. And there's a particular part of the thalamus that actually becomes kind of important. We're not going to get into a lot of detail. The thalamus has a lot of different spots to it. The particular spot is outlined in your book here. Figure 1. What is the particular spot in the thalamus where visual input goes? The lateral geniculate nucleus, also called the LGN. Visual stimuli go to the LGN. Does acoustic stimulus also go to your thalamus? Yes. Do you think it goes to the same area? No. So visual stimulus in the thalamus goes to the lateral geniculate nucleus. And what they would basically do, one of the other techniques of cognitive neuroscience, kind of important, is they would do single cell recordings. They would actually put little electrodes. They would put little electrodes into the brain of these monkeys. They wouldn't hurt. Just recording electrodes, and they would show these lines. They would show lines of different orientations. So straight lines, lines that were rotated around a little bit. And they would basically find that it seemed like each neuron would fire for a line of a particular orientation. So straight up and down line, there would be one neuron that would really fire to that. There'd be another neuron that would really fire to kind of a horizontal line. Does that make sense to people? So the procedure here was what? What did they do with these monkeys? What did they put into their brains?
Electrodes.
Recording electrodes, a favorite procedure in cognitive neuroscience, and they would show them visually what? The lines. Now the question of, can we tell if the monkey sees this? Can we get an answer to that now? Yeah, because you could see electrical activity happening, and you can assume that means perception is occurring. And what would the finding be here? What was the classic finding? They actually won the Nobel Prize for this. What did they find?
Different neurons fire for different stimuli.
Yeah, they found that different neurons in the LGN would basically fire to lines of differing orientation. To lines of different orientation. They would find that neurons would fire to lines of different orientation. That's what they would find. So, the final question here for you is, why am I talking about this? Why am I talking about this right after McClellan and Rumelhart?
There's a biological reason for the word superiority effect.
There's maybe a biological reason for the McClellan and Rumelhart model. What's the lowest level that they actually have? Features. They hypothesize that features are at work here. What does the Hubel and Wiesel work basically show?
That each feature has a specific neuron that will...
Yeah, there's kind of a neuron for these different features. So does it add some neuroscience backing to their connectionist model? Yeah, it really does. So they won the Nobel Prize for this. They were actually able to show lots of different lines of lots of different things, and they were actually able to, we'll go through some more of this at the next class, but they were able to actually document the idea that we do have feature detectors. There's a biological basis for them. It goes from transduction to the thalamus. Which particular part of the thalamus? The LGN. Acoustics go into another area of the thalamus called the medial geniculate nucleus, if you like. The medial geniculate nucleus. All acoustic information. And actually, we'll just do a little demonstration of that. So the medial geniculate nucleus, if you close your eyes for just a second, why don't you close your eyes, and people on the recording, happening as well. Can you tell where I am?
Yeah.
As I'm talking and walking here?
Mm-hmm.
Guess what structure is involved in allowing you to do that? You can open your eyes now. The thalamus. Which particular part is picking up on the acoustics here?
Medial geniculate nucleus.
The medial geniculate nucleus is kind of picking up on this. So this is considered evidence for this idea of the word superiority effect, the McClellan and Rumelhart model. And it's kind of one of the basic, I'm trying to give you a little history, kind of cognitive neuroscience in terms of ideas and information. Does this make sense for folks? Okay, let's see if there's any other details on 191 to 193 that I want you to focus on. Yeah, if you look on 192, they're actually called receptive fields. They're actually called receptive fields that when you actually put a line visually on the screen and it goes right into the receptive field, then you really see that neuron fire a lot. It has to be perfectly oriented with that. If you look at 191 and 192, they basically have found this in the thalamus. And if you even go a little further, where does it go after the thalamus? What lobe did you all say?
Occipital.
The occipital lobe. There's the same thing in the occipital lobe. And so they were able to find basically feature detectors biologically. Why would this be of interest to the cognitive neuroscientist? Which part is cognitive? Almost perceptual. It's the seeing lines and seeing words, and this is kind of the neuroscience end. We've got neurons that kind of correspond to this. So this is considered kind of historical findings in the field of cognitive neuroscience. Comments or questions about this? Please.
For the word superiority effect, did it matter where the specific letter was in the word? Like if it was the first letter or the third letter? Or...
No, I don't think it really mattered because you had all this top-down and bottom-up activation. So the reason we get the word superiority effect is according to the McClellan and Rumelhart model, we're getting both top-down and bottom-up processing, and that makes it easier because these things are working, and maybe I should add here, interactively. They're working simultaneously. So they're working simultaneously, top-down and bottom-up. So they're working at the same time, because many times it's easier to interpret something when you get all the context that it's in. Just like when I wrote out the word apple, You could figure out it was the word apple, even though the A was missing some features, because you were kind of getting top-down information from that. Okay, let me stop the recording there.